Hey guys, welcome back. So up today we're going to do a complete comparison and review of the Halo Mega Construx Heroes line Noble team. So what you see in front of you are probably the most iconic Spartan team out of the Halo universe, excluding Master Chief obviously, but it's going to be Noble team. And so this was the team that was most well known for Halo Reach and have had a lot of really fan favorite characters. So on the left we have Spartan Kat, we have Noble 6, Spartan Emile, Spartan George, Noble 1 or Spartan Carter, and then on the back right over there we have Spartan Jun. So these figures have been very elusive for a lot of people, and it's been years in the works to actually collecting this entire line. So to put this in perspective, Spartan Jun came out in the Halo Heroes Series 5 line, or I think it was actually 6. It was Halo Heroes Series 6. Spartan Carter came out in Series 7. Emile came out in 8. George came out in 9. And then both Noble 6 and then Kat came out in Series 10. So it's been the last 5 series, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to complete the entire wave. Now with that being said, what you're seeing in front of you are all the second versions of the figures. So I have the original Spartan Carter and Spartan Jun that came in the elephant set. I don't have them readily available after moving. In my opinion though, these are definitely the definitive versions of the characters, and the reason why is that both of these versions of the characters come with additional heads or their maskless faces, right? For Spartan George, this is the first Spartan version that we've gotten of him in the newer style articulation. They made a version of him towards the very end phase of when Mega Bloks at the time was still doing the limited articulation issues that Halo figures had prior to 2014. Spartan Emile, this is our second version of him. He initially came out in a small $10 set with a Warthog. Noble 6, this is the Heroes Series 10 version, as you can see with the commemorative weapon. The first version of him came out in a similar Warthog set as well, and then Spartan Kat came out with like a Brute Chopper version. So we'll take a look at these guys first, and then I'll show you some comparisons of the counterparts to it. So we'll take a look at Spartan Kat first. So this is the Series 10 version of Spartan Kat. In my opinion too, this is the definitive and better version of Spartan Kat than the box set that she originally came out with. The reason why is that the paint applications on this version of Kat are a lot crisper. There's more detail, so attention to detail on the armor, and then on top of that, they included the alternative head. So that's a very neat thing that Mega Construx has done with these figures. I wish they would have done that with George and Emile, but you know, 3 out of the 6 characters having alternative heads isn't bad to start out with. So this Spartan Kat came from Series 10, very cool figure. Next up is going to be Noble 6. So again, this is the version from the Heroes Series 10 line, or the 10th anniversary. Why I believe this version is the definitive version of Noble 6 is the dual application for the armor. This armor also is a lot lighter than the initial release of this figure. The original one came in a very dark gray, and we can actually look at that in comparison. So with Noble 6, this is the original release of Noble 6. So you can see a very dark figure with black undertone. There's no additional paint applications on the armor other than the black sculpting or the paint for the knife. Whereas on this guy, we see the small undertones right here, the very light blue kind of shining through on the armor. We're not seeing that in the initial release. In addition, the visor on the first release is almost a darker gold, whereas in the new one, it's a lighter gold. Looks a little bit better. And then with that being said, we're also getting different armor pieces. So the legs appear to be the same versions. However, the shoulder armor is different, as you can see that. And then on the back side, on the left, or on the right side. So most of the figure appears to be the same, with an exception of the shoulder armor. The legs and obviously the torso and upper body armor and helmet are the same. I actually didn't catch it the first time of the different shoulder armor, so I wonder why they decided to do that. As you can see, though, in my opinion, again, and the reason why this is the definitive version is the attention to detail, the paint applications, just the crisp undertones, the additional paint that they didn't really need to do with that blue undertone, but they did it anyways, and it looks great. Brings this character to life a whole lot more than this. In addition, I really do like the lighter gray undertone, or the main tone for the armor as a whole. I think it contrasts a lot better with the black suit underneath him, as opposed to this version, whereas you really can't tell where the black is and where the gray is. So this was a very nice inclusion, for a $10 set that came with a buildable, piece vehicle, whereas, we're paying $5 for this version, but we're getting very premium paint application to it. So great figure, very happy with having him in the collection. So next one I want to take a look at is Spartan Emile. So Spartan Emile came from Series 8. He is, again, version 2 of this figure. Really, really nice version. This is definitely, in my opinion, a lot better for a lot of different reasons. The paint application for the figure as a whole is a lot crisper. There's more detail, and then on top of that, the skull etching into his visor is a lot cleaner to see, and it's more visible. So to compare that to the original release, this was the original version of Spartan Emile that we got. As you can see, the chest armor, the grenade belt, the legs, and the cookery knife are all the same. The difference is on this guy is we're getting a dual molded cookery knife. We're getting better, look at the visor is the difference, right? So you can barely see it on this guy, whereas this is very noticeable, very clean. And overall, the suit is different. So this is an entire black suit, whereas this one, again with Noble 6, has the main exo portion of the suit, where the armor is in that lighter gray. Spartan Emile on the left side has that really nice emblem on his left shoulder, whereas the first version does not. And then on the right side of that shoulder armor, we are getting more detail on Series 8 as opposed to the initial release of not having any extra paint application. So again, not a bad figure when this came out. This came out back, I think this was 2014 when this figure released, and this came out around late 2017. So there is a difference, obviously, and again, we're paying a premium. And how you have to look at this is that each of these figures in the hero lines, we're paying $5 for just the figure, right? Whereas both of the other two figures came with a buildable set, came with a buildable vehicle, so the price per piece was a lot lower. So again, I guess you gotta take into account what you're actually paying for. $5 can seem like a lot to some people for a 1/28 scale action figure or a micro action figure, but when you look at the detail that these come in and everything in comparison to the buildable sets, my opinion, these are obviously the better route to go, but that is my opinion. Next up, we'll take a look at Spartan George. Spartan George came from Series 9. This is the first version, to my knowledge, of the newer updated articulation of this character. They did have, like I said earlier, they did have a Mega Bloks release of him with the limited articulation back where the arms weren't on ball joints. They were kind of those weird peg-in hinge joints that kind of had a little bit of movement. But overall, this is a great version of the figure. The armor looks clean. Very, very nice application of paint on his armor as well as his shoulder armor. The big chain gun also has additional paint applications, and then the visor has multiple paint applications as well. So this figure overall, although it does not come with an alternative head for Spartan George, he looks really, really good. It's very nice to have this part of the line and to have him included in the Noble team. On the right, we'll take a look at Spartan Jun. So this came in Hero Series 6. This is version 2 of Spartan Jun. This is the version that we got with the alternative head. He's a sniper or the marksman of the team. Looks really good. So the initial release of this guy came in the large elephant, UNSC elephant set that had Spartan Carter and Spartan Jun. Spartan Carter, and that one came with a jetpack on it, but no alternative head. So these are always nice. These, in my opinion, again, definitive versions, because the paint applications for the figures are a lot cleaner. The detail around the armor, like his scarf area, fabric, so that's supposed to represent. The blue detailing around his shoulder armor holding his knife, and then that dual molded sniper rifle as well. And then on top of that, the tattoo on the alternative head wasn't necessary. They did a phenomenal job with that. And then on top of that, we see some bullets over here being held in the shoulder armor as well. So very nice figure. My opinion, way better than the version 1. Given the paint applications and the alternative head. But again, that's your decision to make. And last but not least is going to be probably the most favorite out of the Noble team, is Spartan Carter. So Spartan Carter came in Series 7. This figure is very, very sought after. I think, in my opinion, from what I've noticed, Series 10 did not have great distribution across the United States or across, I think, the country in that matter, or the world. And so there's a lot of people still trying to search for this guy to collect to complete out their Noble teams. I know a lot of people in Mexico, a lot of collectors in Mexico have not been able to find the figure, as well as in Canada. So I got very lucky, very fortunate of finding this guy in the store. I didn't have to pay a ridiculous price for him, but it's pretty crazy. This guy, when he released, there was a period of time where on eBay and on Amazon, this figure was going for upwards of about $30 right during the initial release too. So, these figures are, very, very sought after, very collectible. And, obviously you have scalpers that want to just ruin it for everybody. So what's nice about Spartan Carter, obviously, yes, we're getting the alternative head to it. There's a lot of really nice paint applications to his helmet. We're getting the black, gold, blue, and then also the red on the backhand side. With that being said, there's not a whole lot else going on with Carter. We have, again, that kind of white stripe across the lower leg, and then the white stripe up on his left shoulder armor, but he doesn't have as, I guess, painted of an outfit or armor as some of the other Noble team. But overall, a nice inclusion. He's, definitely very important to have. I like this version of him, again, over the original one, but it is what it is. Obviously, these figures could have had a little bit, better detail, but with what we have for a $5 package, I think it's very reasonable, and it's a very nice inclusion. When looking at this team, I have spent a lot of time trying to complete my Noble team, as I imagine some of you have. So it's been really nice being able to get these last two figures, mainly Kat. Kat was the last one that I needed to complete out my Noble team that I was able to get through Series 10, because I passed on the Brute Chopper, because that version just didn't really interest me. Getting the updated versions of Noble 6 and Spartan Emile have been phenomenal. I've always displayed my Noble team, or the portions of my Noble team, with these guys as opposed to the original versions, just because of how clean they are, how better they look, and a better representation of the characters. So, that's how you got kind of put it in perspective. It'd be nice to see down the road if we did get a second version of Spartan George with the updated articulation and had the alternative head. However, I don't believe they're going to do that, and that's okay. We have Spartan Emile and Spartan George in that similar mindset where, we don't have the alternative heads for it, and, I can live with that, because overall what we have right here is phenomenal. This is something that a lot of fans wanted for a long time. Mega listened, and Mega made it happen in a relatively cheap package. And when you think about it as, as marketing wise, a lot of these characters, a lot of the versions of these characters in that first version, I can't talk today, came in very expensive boxed sets. So Jun and Carter originally came in that elephant set, which at the time retailed for about $120. Now it goes for upwards of $400 if you're wanting those, like the version 1s of these characters. You know, Spartan Emile as well as Noble 6 came in, you know, very cheap sets at the time, but now are, you know, $50 to $60. Same thing went with Spartan Kat, and then Spartan George. We never got an updated, highly articulated version of the figure. So this, in a sense, through the Heroes line has been, you know, in my opinion, a great thing for collectors, because we've been able to get a definitive version of Noble Team with the premium paint applications, the alternative heads, at a relatively cheap price. And so I really, you know, I'm really appreciative to Mega for them doing that, as opposed to locking these figures through very expensive box sets. So I'm very happy with it. With that being said, guys, I don't have a whole lot else to say about the video. If you guys liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to know which Noble Team member is your favorite. If you guys have completed your Noble Team, definitely let me know about that as well. I'm curious as to other people's opinions on their definitive versions of the characters, whether they prefer version 1 over version 2 or whatnot. So please leave that information in the comments. Besides that, guys, I'll catch you next time. Bye.